We start this topic 3 about polynomial functions. This first lesson about graphing polynomial functions. So what we are going to do first is to review a little bit about some things that we learned about polynomials in Algebra 1. So let's start with some terminology. Monomials, we'll be reviewing about what monomials are, what the degree of monomial is, what a polynomial is, and what the degree of a polynomial is. So let's start with monomial. A monomial is a real number, so it could be 2, 3, 4, 5. It is actually any kind of uh, real number. Could be negative, could be positive, it could be decimal, it could be any rational number, it could be irrational number. Even 0 is considered a monomial. Okay, so it could also be a variable, and a variable, is basically a letter representing a number. So it could be something like x, or maybe y, a, g, any letter representing a number. So each one of those is an example of a monomial. Each one of these is also an example of a monomial. So let's continue. Now we've got real numbers or variables, but we could also have like a multiplication. Please remember, product means multiplication of one real number and one or more of those variables. And those variables, the only thing is they need to have exponents that are whole numbers. So give you examples such as, let's say that we are choosing now, go back a little bit. So like imagine that you're choosing now a -2, and then times the variable is going to be x. And again, the exponent here needs to be a whole number. Please remember, whole number are 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So you cannot choose here this exponent to be a decimal. You can choose to be 3, and that'll be an example of a monomial. But you could also have like maybe 1/3, and now I'm gonna choose not one but two variables like maybe x and y, and I'm gonna give y the exponents of 5, whereas x will have exponent of 2. So that will also be an example of a monomial. So the degree of a monomial is the sum of the exponents of the variables of a monomial. So in this particular case, the degree is 3. There is only one variable, so there is no more than one thing that you need to like add together. But if there were two, like in this case, there are two exponents, one variable with exponent 2, one variable with exponent 5. In that case, you will add to get the degree of that monomial. So in this case, 15x to the second power, as I was saying, there is only one exponent, so that will be the degree. But if you had more than one variable, you will add all the exponents. Now, there is one specific case, and it is when you have one of these real numbers that is also called constant. What is going to be the degree? Well, the degree is going to be 0, because I can write each one of those as a multiplication of that number times x to the 0 power. Remember that any number to this that is different from 0 to the 0 power equals 1. So what we are writing here is 7 times 1, and that is the same as 7. So we can see this as having a variable with exponent 0. So the degree of any one of these monomials is going to be 0. So now, what is a polynomial? If you understand first definition, the second one is not too hard, because basically a monomial is the sum or difference. So this means addition or subtraction. So this means right here that you're adding or subtracting two or more monomials. And now those will be called monomials, but also they will be called terms of the polynomial. So, such as what? Well, let's say that you got 3x to the fifth power, and you're adding that monomial, you're adding the monomial 2x, and then you are subtracting another monomial, which is 6. So this would be a polynomial. It's got more than one monomial, and these ones will be called terms. So in this case, this will be a trinomial. By the way, that's important to keep in mind. If the polynomial has, according to the number of terms, they will receive different names. So one term is called already is a monomial. So term and monomial means the same. But what if the polynomial has two terms? In this case, this will be a binomial. This is all review from Algebra 1. And three terms will be a trinomial. So that is important to keep in mind. So let's see. The polynomials are named according to their degree and also according to the number of terms, as I just explained. So the greatest degree of any term is going to be the degree of the polynomial. So for example, this polynomial here, we already said is degree 0, is a constant, is a number. This one right here has degree 1. But when there is more than one, so this monomial has degree 2, this monomial has degree 1, and this monomial has degree 0. So the greatest is 2, and that's what the degree of the whole polynomial is. So to find the degree of a polynomial, you'll have to find the degree of each term, and the greatest one will be the degree of that polynomial. So in this case, the degree of this term is 4. This is 1, this is 1, and this is 0. So the greatest number or the greatest degree is 4 in that case. And they have like different names. So if it is a degree, if the 0 is called constant, 1 is linear, 2 is quadratic, 3 is cubic, and 4 degree and so on will be called by 4th degree, 5th degree, 6th degree, and so on. So like here we got a polynomial. Now they just get into the difference between polynomial and polynomial function. And you can see that the difference between those two is basically the f of x, which includes like, I'm gonna make like an order pair with what I do to the number x and the corresponding answer. So you think of this as a collection of points, whereas these here are like just numbers. So for example, 7 and f of x equals 7. So here we are thinking of points as 0, 7, 1, 7, 2.37, and so on and so forth. Same thing here. Same thing there. We have done like this when we graph, because a function will have a graph, a polynomial doesn't. These are just expressions, whereas this is a relationship between two numbers. So these are called, and this is a linear horizontal line, This is a line that has slope 4, so this is a linear function. This is a quadratic function. Notice how the functions receive their name according to their polynomial. So now we'll do the practice. I'm going to stop the video now and I will do the second video for the second part of the class.